Okay, so I will welcome everybody again to our service design drinks. Today we're hosting Jasmina Ploštajner from Danes in Odan. Today is a new day. And I wanted to give a short introduction of why we wanted to have Jasmina as our guest. I know all of us have noticed that the world is currently a mess. There's a lot of things that we're all thinking about, and there's global issues that we should be tackling, and there are wars going on around the world. There's climate change, and also, coincidentally, in Slovenia, we're holding our local parliamentary elections at the end of April. So this is, for us, an important time. And I think a lot of us are thinking about how can we better activate ourselves and what are potentially the skills that we could be bringing to the communities around us to have impact in the world. So when we were talking with the team about what we wanted to talk about, this was actually a few months ago already, 2 months ago. I remembered that there was a digital tool online that I used for kind of getting a better idea of what parties in Slovenia might share the same values with me, and how could I make a better informed decision when I went to the polls. And I remember that there was this digital tool at the time that was done by Today is a New Day, so Danes in Odan, that is called Political Portrait, that was called Political Portrait, Politični portret in Slovenian. And coincidentally, again, just now, we're also working together on a different project with Jasmina. So what better opportunity to invite Jasmina to give us an overview of how and why she's doing the work that she's doing in activism. And Jasmina is one of the co-founders of Danes in Odan, and she's the lead designer behind, I probably can say, most of the digital solutions that they're building around these initiatives that aim to impact the society around us. She's been there ever since the beginning in 2012. You will get to know her, and today also you'll see that she's always accompanied by her dog, Mishka, probably saying hi to us sometime or another during tonight. And if you'd ask her friends 5 years ago, what is the one thing that Jasmina will never do? It would be that she would move to another country. And today she's joining us from London, where she's now living with her partner and, of course, her dog, Mishka. So I will now invite Jasmina to share with us why be a designer in activism. Jasmina, the stage is yours.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Let me just share the screen. Okay, can you see everything's good? Yeah, okay. Okay, so thank you, Anna, for this introduction. As she said, today I'm going to talk a little bit about design and the role of design in activism. And let me start first with how I even became a designer in activism. So ever since I was a little girl, I loved arts. I was very creative. I loved problem solving. And also I very much like to read and study. But additionally, I had big joie de vivre, or like joy of living, as you can see on the picture up top, like me being on a summer holiday. I also mastered the computers very early. and I always cared for the people and the environment. So I think it's no wonder that I ended up working in a non-profit sector. I tried to use my skills because I did study industrial design, actually. I tried to use my skills in other sectors, especially advertising, where I worked for many years, but it was not giving me joie de vivre and compassionate vibes. So I was not feeling very happy. So this is not to say that in the nonprofit sector, everything's just roses and hearts, but we do struggle a lot, especially with money, with being overworked or feeling like we are not doing enough or not accomplishing anything, while the climate doom is looming all around us, and not just climate doom, but also like other social issues. But the thing that keeps us going on and keeps me going on is that all important and good changes happened because of people, because people were doing things and actually like trying to change stuff. So when I have a day that feels shitty, I just always come back to that. So how my journey started in activism is actually in 2012. As Anna mentioned, there were big protests in Slovenia and Ljubljana against at that time, the government, which is sadly now we're having the same government again ruling. And me and my couple of my friends, we formed this informal group because we were very angry with the fact that the politicians were saying that people don't have any messages or any content, like we're just protesting there, but we don't know what to do. And we tried to prove them differently, and we formed this group that in 2013 transformed into an institute, which
Jasmina,
is
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
but we said I'm just letting you know that the connection is a bit bad, so maybe take this opportunity to switch to your hotspot.
To switch, yeah, I'm sorry. I live in a big city, but the internet is like I would live in a little tiny village. So I apologize for that. Let me just set up a hotspot, and maybe I'm gonna fall off for a little second.
In the meantime, we'd love to hear if everybody that is with us, that is primarily English speaking, and everybody, we'd love to learn more about where everybody's from. So if you don't mind, we'd invite you to send us a chat, like where are you tuning in from while Jasmina is setting out. We have all these interesting Mumbai. Wow. Lithuania. Hello. Ljubljana, the usual suspect. Chernomel.
Anna, where are you tuning in?
I'm tuning in from the usual Ljubljana. Tunisia, northeastern Hungary. Oh, Hungary, Lithuania, we're with you.
On the internet. Is it better?
Maybe try and say something else, or more, a bit, I think.
Yeah, no? Maybe the slide is a bit too much.
Okay, yeah.
Is it better or no?
I think so, yeah. For now?
Yeah?
Yeah, I think the sound is better.
Yeah, I hope it's gonna be okay. I do apologize. I can't do anything.
No problem.
Yeah, too many people in the city using the internet in the evening, so it's usually like this. So I moved to the next slide because I think the other one is a bit too heavy. But as I was trying to say, in 2013, then we started the institute where we actually started working more on different projects, which until this date we did, I think, probably like more than 50 or even more. I don't even know the actual number. So I started to work with the institute as a volunteer, but then in 2017 I quit my job in advertising and started working for the institute full time. I still work now. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how we do our work and what are the questions that we always ask ourselves before we do the actual projects. And then I'm going to share with you some case studies of our work. So I think the important thing to know is that in a world that we live in, which is permeated with innumerous, like many pressing issues, I think it's very important that organizations that are doing good can actually attract the public to support and engage with their causes. So it's not enough that you do good stuff, you have to also reach the public and the decision makers in order for you to change anything. So the questions before we start the project, we always ask ourselves how to grab the attention. So how to make sure that the public that's overwhelmed with information and bombarded with different impulses and has very low threshold is even gonna see the stuff that we're doing. The next question we ask ourselves is how to address the public that's a lot of time pathetic, meaning that we're trying to ask ourselves how to start a debate on a certain topic or how to push a certain topic on the media or in the political agenda. Next question is how to engage people and encourage actual participation. So a lot of times we have a problem that non-profit organizations have problems that they don't know how to engage people with something that's not very sexy or that they are not really passionate about. Like it's more easier to make sure that people see something like that they want to buy than something that they have to take the action. And then the last one is how to communicate complex topics, which usually a lot of times we do projects that have a lot of data, a lot of information, or they include topics and themes that are new to general public or the public is not very familiar with. So we try to do this with we use two different methods that are intertwining. So firstly, we try to use innovation, which we define it as a break from usual practice that hopes to achieve disruptive change that can lead to a long-term advantage in the field and in the society in general. So this means that in our case, innovation can be something that is completely new, so some technology that hasn't been used yet or is not very much used, or it can also be use of methods and practices that are not used in this field. Particularly for us is the field of nonprofits and activism. So what we do in the field when we work that's not very typical is we use problem solving, we use design thinking, we focus a lot on user experience. We try to visualize and simplify the information in order for us to reach the general public. And secondly, we use gamification. So gamification, for those who don't know it, is the use of elements and game mechanics in non-game environments with the goal of increasing engagement and user motivation. So here are some principles of gamification that we use. Mostly, a lot of times we use different milestones in our actions. We show progress, we give people rewards. We try to get people to even see objects with some hooks. We try to simplify the information, the data, and we usually always try to visualize it, while we also use humor, empathy, and or shock, sometimes all together, sometimes we use them separately depending on the actual topic that we're tackling. So I'm going to start with the first case study. This is a website. It's called Standalone Sonya, which in English it would translate to like flat and dreams, or like is the apartment a dream or something like that. We created here an interactive website where we visualized and contextualized data from a research project. I'm going to show you the actual website. I hope it's going to work. We were asking ourselves how to put the attention of the public with this basic boring topic, a big research on the housing market, and how to start a debate and push this agenda in the media and in the public. And basically we use the hook, where you go on the website and you input your like monthly salary, and then you press enter, and it actually shows you how many flats can you buy in Ljubljana at that time and how many flats you can rent. And then we visualize some data from the research, and actually surprisingly, this research and this project gathered a lot of media and public attention, and the website actually had like 45,000 visitors. So I think we actually tried, we actually managed to push this topic on the agenda, and it's been there ever since then. And I think this was in 2016. So the next project that we did is called Pahor Roast, which is this TV show. I think you all know when someone important comes and then they roast them with jokes on the TV live. When commercial TV station Pop TV roasted President Pahor, at that time he was already the president, we used that opportunity to launch, he used this opportunity, I'm sorry, to launch his new election campaign, because in 2017 we had presidential elections. So he started his campaign on this roast. And we decided that the attention should be turned away from the adorable TV jokes, and instead we should analyze his actual political mistakes, because the presidential figure is very important to people. So he also should be exposed to a serious critique and not just like some kid jokes. So basically, the website looked like this, where we exposed his actual mistakes while he was president, and while people were sharing these actual mistakes on social media, his figurine here was getting more and more burned. So we wanted to engage people with a topic that's not very sexy. So basically not cute jokes, but actual flops and errors. And we did this with using humor, using visualizations, giving people rewards and showing progress. So basically, while the TV show lasted, I think it was for 3 hours, people actually shared this campaign 2,000 times, and we burned president even faster than he was burned on the TV roast. So yeah, this is, I think this case is like shows how you can be funny, but also tell something serious. This next campaign, I think you guys are gonna actually try it first for yourselves, and then I'm gonna tell a little bit more about it. So we're gonna give you 1 minute. I think Anna or someone's gonna share you a link in the chat.
Link is already in the chat.
Okay, so you can
and try.
go and try it. Or and the important thing to tell you, yeah, you have to go into the story mode, not into the other one. And while you try the game, I can tell you a little bit about it. So here with this campaign, we responded to an invitation of Ljubljana Society for the Protection of Animals to join their campaign against laying hens in battery cages. So basically, we needed to engage people with a topic that's, again, not very appealing, like, okay, chickens in the cages. Yeah, and I don't think anyone's like really passionate about it. But we used this hook, this little non-game that actually puts a player in the role of the chicken that can't do anything else than just lay eggs. So we used a hook, which is a game, and we used empathy, where people like feel emotionally attached to this poor chicken now. We used shock because you realize that you can't really do anything, and we showed people some progress. And we connected this non-game with the petition page, and we actually managed to get 10,000 signatures in first 49 hours of the campaign, and at the end we gathered almost 14,000 signatures in total. And we managed to persuade Hofer, Lidl, Eurospin, Spar, Touche, and Leclerc to stop selling the caged eggs. So this campaign was actually a really big success. It was all over the media, and people really responded to it. So I hope you guys tried it, managed to try it now, and you liked it. Well, as much as you can like something that looks like a game, but it's not really fun.
I could not lay an egg. Nothing happened.
You have to press the what's it called?
The
Spacebar.
space. I did. It didn't happen for me. It was
Yeah,
frustrating.
You just have to do it when you're on the green marker.
Ah, I tried on the middle. Okay.
Yeah, that's why you have because the hen can't lay eggs all the time. You have a certain time in the day when you can do it. So this is why you have this progress, and you can only do it once a day. Yeah, so you see how the life of this hen is very boring.
Frustrating.
Frustrating, yeah, and sad. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next campaign. This one is called Alternation. It was a web campaign that took tweets from political parties and politicians and replaced the use of a word migrant or refugee with the word Jew. And we did this to show that the basically hate speech in Slovenia at that time of the refugee crisis in 2015 to 2016 was very, very normalized. And if we just change one word, people are gonna realize that this is not okay. So basically the website is just a stream of tweets, but if when you hover over one tweet, it changes the word, for example here, the word migrant to Jews, and it has a totally different meaning all of a sudden. So we wanted to get the attention on this topic, and for this we used shock, because this was quite a shocking campaign. So our campaign was actually very successful and again went viral because of the shock, of course. And I think the Facebook page, the Facebook post alone was shared like 1,600 times or something like that. Yeah, so showing you that you can use something that maybe is like bordering inappropriate, but if you use it in a good context, you can still get away with it, maybe. The next project, Parlameter, I think this is one of our biggest projects till now. This is actually a web tool that collects and analyzes parliamentary voting data, transcripts of session, and other activities and parliamentary groups. So with it, the question that we asked ourselves here with this campaign is how to present enormous amounts of data that is very, very boring and is just put there on the governmental website without any context, without any explanation. And of course, people then don't go check it, and the politicians can do whatever they want. So we tried to simplify and visualize this data in order to make it more consumable for the general public. And we actually generated a lot of media and public traction in 2016 when we launched this web tool, and it's still live today. So if you go check it, actually, we're just going to be publishing a new updated version next week. So it's going to be with fresh data. But the important thing is that the data is arranged in a way that's presented in machine readable way and a people friendly way. So that means that anyone that's a researcher or developer can come here and use the data in whatever way they want, but also it enables general public to go and check what their MP is doing, who's voting how on certain topics. Yeah, basically what we did here is not really a gamified application, even though we used like visualizations and nice stuff like this. But the most important thing here is that we used innovation. So every piece of content on the website is designed into an information card, which can live on its own on the internet. So you can go here on the button down and you can copy this link and share it on social media or share it to someone in the chat. But additionally, also you can go on the other button down there and you get an embed code. So basically you get an iframe which you can take and then embed this particular card in your article or in your research or whatever website you're using. So not only we presented the information in a nice way for general public, but with this application, we also help the specific publics of researchers and journalists that are usually underfunded and can't do big research like this, or even present data in a consumable way. And now the most important part at this point of time in Slovenia, which is the elections. As Anna already mentioned before, we're doing a lot of projects always around the elections. So this is one of the projects which we did now for this election, which is an interactive guide. It's a simple web app that lists all the way people can vote in the coming election on the 24th of April if they are away on the day of the election or if the polling station is not accessible to them. So basically what we do here is we took a very complex topic, which again, if you go on the governmental website, is not presented in a very nice way, so you get quickly confused. And we simplified it. We made it like as a cute little, almost like a game where you pick different options and you get your answer. So basically, I click here, I can't access the voting station. On the day of the election, I'm gonna be in a rehabilitation center. And then you get your answer. How do you have to apply for the election so you can vote from the rehabilitation center? And we do this for all the different options that a person has. So basically with this one, we tried to encourage political participation. So to make sure that everyone that can vote is going to vote on the election. And we try to present the data, the information in a very simple way that everyone can understand. We usually do these guides before every election, and this I think is our 4th guide like this already. So this one is the quiz that Anna was talking about when she introduced me. This was actually Political Portrait was actually a translation and an upgrade of one open source project called Politiscales. And the Slovenian version was trying to help voters to choose from many parties that took part in the 2018 parliamentary elections. Because we always think that the TV confrontations and the party programs, usually they're just full of generalized and hollow promises that don't actually focus on actual problems that we have now and need solving. And as it turns out, the trend in Slovenia now is being focused more on who is the person, not what is their content. So with this application, we try to engage people in a topic, again, that can be very difficult, like the elections, or most people don't really like engage with the elections. That's why we have such low turnout. And we wanted to encourage political participation that's based on the informed decisions and not just on, oh, I've seen this politician on the TV, he seems nice, I'm gonna vote for him. So actually this survey, this web app had 117 questions that we gave to all competing parties to solve. And the majority of them actually responded. And then the users were able to answer the questions and compare their views with party responses. I think the website was very popular because we had more than 30,000 unique visitors on the website. And because there was so much good response in 2018, this year we're also doing some similar things. So the first application that we did, it was actually launched this morning, so you can go and test it. is called Volitvomat. You can find it on volitvomat.si or volitvomat.si. We did this in coalition with other civil society organizations that we joined forces this year. Glas Ljudstva, maybe some of you know it. In English would translate to like voice of the people or something like that. Well, we together prepared 138 demands or like important topics that we think people should, the political parties should address in the new government. And we send them these demands we send the parties the demands, and they should, they were supposed to answer the questions like if they agree with the demand or no. And now this app allows you to go in there, answer the questions yourself, and then again it shows you the final results, like do you agree with this party more or the other party. But the thing is that, again, this is very boring, so we try to make it fun. So we're using the similar actions like we're all used to from Tinder, where you can just swipe the answers left or right, whatever you like it or you don't like it, and then you get the final results at the end. So this is Volitvomat, but we are also launching something new next week, which I can't tell you a lot about it yet, but it's also going to be a quiz. So maybe, I don't know, stay tuned, and you're gonna see, maybe it's gonna help you. So with this, I would like to conclude my little lecture. At the end, I would like to stress out that I think activism and design go hand in hand. I hope I showed you this during my case studies. I think that it's important that rather viewing design as a technical exercise, the design activism or design as activism actually recognizes the potential and capacity of design as a tool for social and environmental progress. So design is an integral part of activism, and it's not just a decoration like a lot of people think it's just a decoration. I think in the face of the urgency of all the problems, environmental, social challenges that we're having at this present moment, it is time for our profession to reflect on the mission of our practice through the lens of activism. So I think we should all ask ourselves while we do our work, are we doing enough as a profession to address the critical challenges of our time? Are there specific actions that are needed beyond the business as usual? Are we providing young people with the skills and knowledge that's needed to address the complex challenges that we're facing and that they are going to face after? And what tools and preparations are needed for young and for us to become the leaders of movements and of progress? So I strongly believe that each and every one of us can bring something to the table. Before I stop, as I already mentioned before, it's very easy to give up to the doom and gloom in these times that we're living. And thinking of what we can do, it can be extremely intimidating. So I think this exercise that I did, and then you later maybe are also going to do, can be very helpful to start thinking about what we can do. And maybe it will help some of you to even become inspired and engage in activism. So this basically is the simple Venn diagram, which is asking us, what are we good at? So I try to answer these things here. This is my example is a very quick one, but like, what am I good at? I'm good at UX, I'm good at UI design, problem solving, drawing, cooking, organizing task lists, transcribing, writing funding proposals, making animated GIFs. The list is longer, but I just listed some here. And then the next question that's very important in the sector, in non-profit sector, is what brings you joy, because we can't do work if we're miserable and burned out. So what brings me joy is helping other people, is cooking and baking, dog walking, obviously, reading, learning new stuff, and traveling. And then the third question that we have to ask ourselves is what needs to be done, or what problems need to be addressed, or maybe even who do we think needs some help. So if we take an example of, I think that the environmental protests now need to be organized and executed. I think the canvassing in the local area before the election needs to be done. I think probably some leafleting also needs to be done, and inviting people to go to vote. So where these three answers collide, so where there's an intersection, this is what you can do. So for me, that means that I can make posters for the protest, I can prepare social media posts, I can create GIFs to get attention, I can bake some goodies for the people that are organizing the protest, so because everyone needs to eat. I can read the IPCC report. This is an intergovernmental panel on climate change report, and I can prepare some excerpts from them. I can offer my time for various tasks that other people can have to do, and maybe they don't have time, and I have some spare time to share. So the important thing to understand is that there is a space and role for everyone. So with this, I'm gonna conclude my lecture. I hope you learned something new, and now Anna's gonna take over. Oh yeah, and if anyone later has any questions, I'm gonna be here, so whatever, just shoot.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Jasmina. This is a lot of food for thought and a lot of inspiration. And what we wanted to do also is try and think about it, or basically kind of invite you all to join us in doing this exercise shortly. As you all know, and what I mentioned before is we would also like us to all connect and talk to each other, get to know each other better, kind of, and do some sharing. And what we prepared is a really simple, as you can see, the Venn diagrams and the Miro board. You'll get the link now. And from the frame 10 onwards, we'd invite you, and you can do this in two ways. Either we do this you join a group. I will open up a breakout, 3 breakout rooms And you can join them if you want to and work with somebody else also to see how you can maybe bring your joys and skills together and look at, well, what are the things that you could be working on together with strangers. Or you can stay with us in the main room and you can do your own, and we can make copies of the frames. So I'll open up the breakout rooms. You can go in and join somebody else, or you can stay out here. This is normally what happens when we say we will send you to rooms and people start dropping off. We will stop the recording now. So for this time that we're doing this, we won't be recording, and we'll record the Q&A later on. Next, I thought before we go to recording. But yeah, never mind.
I thought that it would be good if people wants to share, you know, it's not such a personal thing, I think. Or if it is, I can stop. Sorry.
No worries. That was just, I wanted to open up a conversation because some people might be a bit shy. Would anybody like to share what this exercise was like doing, depending on whether you did it either individually or in pairs? We had one pair, I think.
We didn't get to the end. We just mapped out the three sort of parts of the Venn diagram, and now the magic would start to happen when we would mold these different parts. So fortunately, we didn't get to that part.
Yeah, but at least it's a beginning. So now
it is the beginning.
Each one of you can go home and sleep on it, and then think about it.
No, but I think for me personally, it was nice. So Alma and me, we were doing this together. It was nice to get to know each other and talk about stuff that's important to us, because it's positively oriented in terms of like, what am I good at, and etc. So I think it was a nice exercise to do it in a pair.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, it was really introspective and reflective. So to understand, so it made me think a lot about what am I currently doing with my work, and how does it align to what my skills are, what brings me joy, and what needs to get done not only in my life but like the people around. So it was really nice to see outside your own sphere what you can do with the things you're good at. So that's quite powerful to reflect on as a reflective tool, but also something to maybe as starting to actually get something done. So that was interesting to note.
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? I think even, for example, for me, even yesterday when Tina and I were doing it, it was kind of, we tried to make an example for why we do these events, for example, but like even it kind of contextualizes and it kind of makes things more tangible for even like retrospectively in a way. And then on the other hand, it made me think about all the other things potentially that we could be doing around causes or things that we believe in, right? So I think it's a, like you said, Shamir, that it's a good exercise to use for kind of rethinking of what we're doing and like aligning with our values, maybe even. No? Right now,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I just wanted to say this, that it's also a good exercise if you feel passionate about something, like if you feel that, or maybe you want to help a certain organization that you like what they do, you can also not just approach them as a, okay, I want to volunteer for your organization, but you can also approach them more actionable, like saying, I'm good at this and this and this. I think you can benefit from my skills here, or I can do this and this. Call me when you need something or whatever. And it's more helpful for someone working in a nonprofit if someone approaches them more actionable than just saying, oh, I want to volunteer, and then you have to think about what they should do, or and you don't know them, you don't know where they're good at. So this is also a good exercise for that.
It's a really interesting point. Yes. Interesting. It's kind of like developing your kind of like also like your sales point or how you pitch yourself in a setting. It is time for questions right now, and Zeet already was waving his hands up or putting his hand up earlier before we finished. Before you finished your talk, Jasmina, and I want to invite Zeet to write down because I think he had you're having trouble with the microphone. So feel free to write a question in the chat, and Jasmina will answer it for you. And in the meantime, I invite anybody else that has a question to share their question.
I have a question. So I would like two questions, but they're connected. So one question is, are you the only designer in the group? And then if you are, or if you're not, what is your specific role? So where like, take an example of a project, like what do you come in? What are your roles? How do you contribute? Or yeah, basically what's your role?
Yeah, actually, I'm the only one that's more of like a graphic or UI designer, but we also have someone that's working part-time that he's basically more like a maybe like a UX designer, or he tries to like map out what some actions should be, and then I actually like design them. But we do this thinking together. So usually how we work on projects, it's not so divided as maybe in some other sectors. So it's not like, okay, this person does the I don't know, like thinks about what we want to do, and then this person does the plan, and then this person draws it, and then this person programs it, and then this person does the communications, but it's more intertwined. So sometimes I only do the design. Sometimes I do all the tasks except the programming, because that one I don't know how to do. So, but yeah, it's more of a teamwork. And everyone, like we usually have a meeting where we talk about a new product, so everyone can share their ideas. It's usually someone that's not even a designer or whatever has maybe some important remarks that you don't see when you're focused on something. When you're focused on solving a specific problem, you don't maybe see some other problems. So is a mostly a teamwork. But yeah, the actual designing part is mostly up to me. I hope I answered.
Yeah, cool.
Anyone
I
else?
have a question.
Go ahead.
Hey,
Yes.
can I speak now? Okay, so
I just wanted to ask, what are your thoughts on ethical hacking?
Yeah, I'm not really a specialist on that. I can connect you with my colleague, Philip, which is more of a, I would say maybe inclined to ethical hacking. But yeah, well, I think in some instances it's okay. But this, I hope, is we're recording now.
What is it? For us who don't know exactly.
What?
Yeah, so yeah, I think in this time that we are in, I think all the methods can be used in a good way. So even this one, which is a bit more radical, but yeah. But if you want to talk more about it, I have some people for you.
Great, thank you for your question. Zeet, can we hear you now? Or was it just an impression?
Hi, you can hear me now?
Yes,
yeah.
Very well.
Okay, so good. First, I will maybe introduce myself. I'm a UX instructor here in Tunisia. I work I work as UX instructor. So maybe I have some question about. I really appreciate what all you show in the presentation. I missed something, and but I get the main idea of what you say. But I really find something so interesting you say in your last in the last of your presentation. You say that UX is about making a solution of like making GIFs, make posters, create anything related to find solution of something will be UX. I really find this information for the first time that you say here. It's so interesting. So it's so interesting that I hear it, because when you say that UX is, we all here think that UX is related to digital work, like designing apps and websites. But I think it's like something global. It can be when you create a line or shape, it can be UX. So that's why I'm very finding this for the first time, this information that you mentioned in the last of your presentation. Maybe after this meeting, I will go back to the video from the beginning to understand the whole idea that you present in the presentation. And I will share it with my friends also, because it's really the first time that I have like that information. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, what I think the thing you're talking about is the Venn diagram that I did, where I listed some different skills that I have. But yeah, I think the thing that you said, that user experience is not just in the digital world. You have user experience in everything. I think
Yes.
maybe the user is the wrong word, because it's not like user sounds very capitalistic for me. So maybe like people's experience or something would be better. But yeah, you basically use all the stuff. So user experience is also how you're gonna go on the bus, or how you're gonna hold a cup, or so it's not just how you click on something. But yeah, nice one, Anna. Human experience. Yeah, I like that one.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Human experience. I'm gonna use that one now.
Yeah, this is like your new LinkedIn title. You can put it now.
HX. Oh,
Did you want to say something else, Zeke?
Yeah, I have another question about UI. The difference, everyone know, if we are here all designers, the difference between UX, when we are speaking about UX and UI, there is something that I have a problem to resolve it on both sides. I think that UI is like is based on the UX, how you design your experience in your website or in anything digital you speak on. But can be the UI, user interface, a part of the UX, or it's not the same? We can just divide it in two parts, UX and UI. Does that? Or we can say that UI is small part of great part like it's UX.
Yeah, well, I think the difference is is basically like what you said. User interface is the thing that you actually like draw or whatever. So what someone sees when they come on a website, for example. But then user experience is the research, the thinking behind it. So what's going to happen when someone presses this? Where are they going to go? What options they're going to have? How is this going to make them feel? So you can be a UX designer and you don't know actually how to draw stuff. And you can be a UI designer and you don't have this like capacity to think about different problems and how to solve them. But a lot of times when someone is a UI designer, they also have they usually do the work of UX as well. But for example, in my institute, we have someone that's a UX designer partially, but they don't know how to do UI. But I think they are very intertwined. You can't have one without the other, basically.
Yes, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this is one of those conversations that we can talk hours and hours and hours around.
Yeah, especially you're more professional in this than I am, Anna Kiera.
I think, yeah, it's just, it's also something that the discussions that we normally have in the backstage where we get all philosophical and we're already grabbing a drink. So I just wanted to kind of like get to let's do a final question around like, maybe around this being a designer in activism. And I will invite everybody to stay later on for the backstage also to have philosophical conversations. Anyone else?
If nobody has any questions, I have a question. It's not particularly about design and activism, but more about how well you work. Like you manage to represent all these very hard topics on a very light way, like so people really understand them. Have you ever been approached by some, I don't know, some governmental, I don't know, whatever, or maybe public administration or somebody, because they don't know how to represent the topic so well as you do? Like, did they ask you for some collaboration maybe or something similar?
And that would be very nice, but no, it didn't happen because their imagination usually does not go to that point. So they think they're doing a good enough job as they're doing it now. But yeah, maybe the thing I tried to point out through my presentation is that you have to have this like joy of living. Like you have to be happy. You have to, like, if we're not all gonna be happy, then what's even the point? So I think with the work that we're doing, we try to present difficult stuff with this like joie de vivre, because our end goal as an organization is that like everyone would live a happy life. Like this is our mission. So if we're not doing it through our work already, then like what's the point? But yeah, we try to reach out to different governmental organizations, to ministries, to municipalities, but it's usually just yeah, they're not on this level. So we have to, maybe the mission is but maybe the mission is to get some people to work in the government and the public sector that have the nice ideas, and then we can like work on this from the inside. Maybe
resistance is futile. You will be assimilated.
Please, I have just one other question. Can the persona be governmental or political person? Okay, we can make that.
Can you repeat? Because I'm not sure. Can the
I mean, can be a persona, a political person, or the government can be a persona for our design UX?
Yeah, we actually did a project like that before the last election, where we wrote down the ads for the ministers. So we actually wrote the personas that we think we need in our government, and then we tried like to find that actually, like we wanted to tell the political parties that you need to look for this person, not just like whoever you have, because they're not good candidates. So yeah, we actually did this once.
But I think that political, they are so they have I don't know, it's not easy to identify the persona for a political person. Like they have so many I don't know, stuff. They don't think like us. I don't know. It's not normal person. They are crazy or psychology.
We have to change that. That's why we're doing the work. We have to first normalize that to be a politician should be something honorable, because you are like governing people. You're doing work that should be good for people, not like we have it now that politicians are doing just something that's good for them. And then when we actually like realize this, that politicians should be good people, then yeah, maybe stuff is going to change. But until then, yeah. We have to use some different mechanics to force them to do good.
Yes.
And we already have an idea. Let's do job postings for politicians based on personas. It would be like our archetypes, and you'd be like, okay, what you guys need in your party is this kind of, and this kind of, and this kind of, and this kind of person. Now go recruit. This is what we'd be willing to vote for.
So we need like UX designer or UX researcher in the government place, like he work with the minister of recruitment.
Yeah,
like that, I think. Yeah.
I think first of all, in Slovenia currently, a lot of us, more of us need to go voting, and then we can have this conversation of what happens from what, April onwards, May.
I also had a question about when you're touching such controversial topics, right? I'm wondering what are the backlashes you might have had, and any stories, interesting stories about some backlashes.
We get
and how you navigated those as well.
Yeah, we get backlash all the time from political parties and from their media, because a lot of media in Slovenia is like partially owned or whatever, secretly owned by the political party. So we get trashed on the social media, like that we got some money, that we're paid from this one, that we're like communists, that we're like secret agents, whatever. But you just have to like ignore that. You're always gonna get that. So it doesn't matter. There's just some people that don't have anything better to do in their life. So why bother even? But majority of people, they're normal. So you can have a normal discussion with them and like address, because maybe people sometimes are just scared. So you can just address their what they're frightened of. And at the end, maybe you can come to a similar vision or whatever. But yeah, these ones are always going to exist.
Thank you. I will cut us off just to be time conscious. And I just want to wrap up and give an announcement of our next event. And then we're going to continue in the backstage where Jasmina is staying with us. And we can all stay together here. So just quickly, we would like to invite you next month to our event with Ana Pintar, who will be joining us to talk about how user experience is about or is a behavioral science. We're gonna send you a link for, you can already register today to the event. Tina's gonna share the link with you in the chat. And